tried to astral travel or try anything like that in the books ever again. He said like if he becomes lucid in a dream or something, like there's nothing you can do about that. But he said purposely trying to do this stuff was something that he would never do anymore. So that's bizarre. But this next one, he goes on to explain another situation that's kind of similar, but a little less dangerous, it seems. This email goes on to explain a dream. He says that he was dreaming that his cousin and him they found like a tunnel, and this was a dream. Went through this tunnel, or he felt like he was called to go through this tunnel, is what he says. And him and his cousin crawled in and then came out another side to woods with two girls that had like this clearing in the woods. And he said it looked like there was like a little campfire there. He said two girls were there, and the weird thing was in the dream, right there was another full-size mirror. He knew that there was like a back history with one of the girls and him. Like they dated, or she was like an ex-girlfriend, and that the other one was that girl's like older sister, or she was kind of like the leader of these two. The strange thing about this, what has to do with mirrors, is that he said that there was a mirror there, a full-size mirror again. He says, but instead of them using it to like trap him or try to do anything weird, they said that this campfire was in the center of this like clearing that they had, and the full-size mirror was pointed at the fire. And he couldn't figure this out, but he felt like it had something to do with him having that tunnel in the dream and him feeling like he's supposed to go through it. And it was like their way of like calling him to them. So he walks up to this girl and starts talking to her in this dream. And he was like, hey, how you been doing? And stuff like that. And he says that she acted like she was like sort of happy to see him, but also kind of angry. And he made it sound like the awkwardness of running into an ex-girlfriend, that you didn't exactly have a great relationship, but not like a painful breakup, is what he kind of explained it as. So he calls it like she kind of like wavered back and forth, like she was kind of mad at him at the same time as somewhat happy to see him. And at this point, the sister comes up and says something to him about them breaking up, and he doesn't remember what it was. But he said that his natural thing was to defend himself in a way, like he didn't do anything. This is what he was saying to the older sister, like, oh, I didn't do anything wrong, and I wasn't cheating on anybody. Just sometimes people break up. What he says is like it was that last comment, like something along the lines of sometimes people just break up, that set off the older sister. And I guess she felt like how dare you hurt my little sister type of thing. And she felt like she had to be the protector of this situation. And this triggered the older sister, and she runs at him like a linebacker, he says, and just smashes him down. And he says like she hit me like it felt like I got hit by like an NFL linebacker. And he goes flying back and he falls on his butt in this so-called dream. And she walks up to him and takes his watch, like a wristwatch he had on, and somehow she like swiped it with like one swipe. And this ended up being kind of the end, and he doesn't even know what the point of it was. But his point of sending this to me was to just kind of explain that there was this strange back history, first of all, between him and the girl. So he kind of made up these little conclusions at the end, like maybe this was a real life breakup and he was prevented from knowing who this was. And maybe in real life, like there was a sister like into some kind of weird witchcraft, or she read something in a book or something like that. And that was her way of like, it seemed like they were going to try to get revenge. And then when he showed up, that they changed their mind or something like that. And he didn't really understand all of this, and I don't think we ever will. But how weird is that, right? That there's two of these situations with the same guy where he had these weird dreams where he kind of was like brought into the situation against his will, and both times there's like full-size mirrors. One time was at like a stone structure, and another one involved fire. So just weird, right? And it's just some of these things, they just seem like, well, you're just dreaming this stuff. But really, are we? How many times can you have like a dream with like a back history in it that you don't know anything about? I've just heard more and more like weird stories like this after, I don't know, 2010, 2011, 2012, or like sometime after like 2008, all the people, like thousands and thousands of videos on YouTube of people having the same dream of two moons in the sky. Just do a search of dream of two moons, And there's like thousands and thousands, and all my life until 2008, I've never heard of anybody having a dream of two moons in the sky, and then all of a sudden, after 2008, 2009, there's like thousands and thousands all at once. Kind of makes you think. More meaning than a normal dream. Dreams used to just be like just kind of weird stuff that you probably thought were symbolic. Now it's just like a James Bond plot with, a 20-year back history preloaded in it. Or what I mean by 20-year back history or something. What I mean by that is they don't know these people in real life. When they go into the dream and they meet the person, they say that there's like this huge back history that it makes no sense to them in the regular life. But when they go into the dream, they have this like huge back history with the person. Also, I've heard of people doing that with towns, like they go into a place and they know the town, and completely other languages too, and languages that aren't even heard of on Earth. One guy said that he went into the city and he knew all the people and he knew everything, and they started speaking a language, and he knew what the language was called, and he knew that when he woke up, he knew that there was no such language, but they called it like Trahanza in the dream. But he thinks it wasn't a dream for some reason. Like these things keep happening more and more, it seems. And I call these things, I don't know what to call it except back history. It seems like it's a new thing, like in that phenomenon. The last thing I was going to read here is this weird Wendigo story. It seems like these were the ones I was talking about where they were having a party, and the guy actually mentions Wendigo at some point, and they're playing around, and lo and behold, one just magically shows up right after he talks about it. Not a coincidence, right? I don't know what that is. I don't have any theories on that, but I know there's a lot of people that think like we speak things into existence or something, and I don't know. What if it's the other way around? What if it's, I don't know how to say this, but what if it's something in the subconscious of somebody knows or is picking up on like one of these things is close by, and then that type of thought kind of comes into their head, then they say it. Like I've heard somebody that calls out music that he wants and it shows up at this job he works, or these like books that he's interested in reading, like the next day it'll show up. What if it's the other way around? What if like in his subconscious he knows or he's picking up on like those movies or books or is on its way, and that makes him say it? It was like a friend of mine that was talking about some music or a TV show that he liked. That could be the other way around. I mean, I just wonder why we can't like make things come out of what we say 100% of the time. We can't pick up on these like mind reading type things 100% of the time. Like what's the difference between, a day when that happens and a day when that doesn't happen? That's the real trick, right? That's the real like holy grail of paranormal research or psychic research. But I'm not really into a lot of like psychic stuff. But so I don't know. Maybe it's something we eat, who knows? I don't think that's 100% because I can't speak myself into a pile of money. Well, we'll see what I can do. If that happens, I'll have a very awesome podcast coming up. So here's the story. Quote, yesterday I spent the night at a friend's house. I will call them Sam and Bob for privacy, and all the names will be changed. It was Sam, Bob, Jeff, and I. Sam and Bob are brothers. Anyways, Jeff and I came over and brought our dirt bikes. So naturally we spent the day riding. We had quit riding around 7, keep in mind Eastern Kentucky. They're in Eastern Kentucky, in the middle of the woods and farmland, because Sam and Bob's families are loaded with money. Since we had finished riding and it was getting pretty dark, we decided to light off some fireworks. But Jeff had the idea to have a Roman candle war. In the middle of the war, we were grabbing new candles. We heard a whoosh, which ended up being a used Roman candle firing a shot into the grass. But we didn't know that immediately. And Sam made the comment that was probably a Wendigo, under which Bob and Sam get in a huge argument about if Wendigos really live in Kentucky or not. This blew up and ended with resolving it with a pillow fight on a trampoline. So after we were all gassed out, we decided we should all spend the night on top of the trampoline. Around 9 or 10ish, Jeff and I spotted some coyotes at a tree line across the road from us. We all went inside because I freaked out because I'm from the city and I don't like wild animals. It also stunk really bad. It smelled like a dead rabbit or a dead deer. Probably the coyotes got something. So we all go inside but leave the pillows and blankets on the trampoline. After about an hour inside, Sam tells us we forgot the bedding on the trampoline. So we go down the stairs towards the trampoline. I'm behind Jeff grabbing the back of his shirt, and he has a flashlight pointed straight. I'm looking to the right towards past the road looking for the coyotes. But I hear a thud sound to our left. I look over there, and there's a line of trees, of 4 trees parallel with us. They're shaped in the V, starting at the base. I don't see anything, but I tell Jeff to point the flashlight over there, and we don't see anything. So he swings it straight and keeps walking. I hear the thud this time, but this time Jeff also hears it. It is much, much, much louder. It's still to our left. Jeff swings the flashlight in between the second and third tree in the row, and it's walking straight with us. Not at us, but towards the same direction we were going. As soon as the flashlights land on it, it's behind the third tree now, and it effing stands up in the middle of the V of the tree. It stood about 4 or 5 heads taller than me, and I'm 5'9". It was incredibly skinny, as in I could see its ribs through his skin, which was a bright white, not a fluorescent white, but when the flashlight hit it, it definitely had a glow. Its eyes were the scariest part. 2 big reflective orbs that were dark gray, blackish. But here's the catch. They were reflective in a sense, like the eyes illuminated the flashlight back at us. Also, his hands were gigantic. His fingers wrapped around the tree trunks, and they're super long. Jeff looks over, and I scream, and he just stands still, and I turn around, and he's still standing, but he dropped the flashlight. I still have his shirt in my hand, and I yank him hard, and he just takes off in front of me. I sprint past him and up the back porch stairs, and he falls on the stairs. And I run to the door and open it and wait for him. As soon as he runs through it, I slam and shut and lock the deadbolt and shut the curtains and jump back onto the couch. Sam and Bob were putting their socks and shoes on when we ran inside because they heard me scream my effing lungs out. Jeff is standing on the couch and he starts babbling and tell him what he saw, and I started hyperventilating. I have anxiety and asthma, and I had an asthma attack. I haven't had one in years, and I stopped carrying my emergency inhaler for a long time ago. Sam is bewildered, and I start crying while I was having my fit. I cried for almost an hour, and I didn't fall asleep until almost 3 a.m. I woke up and I packed, and my parents came and scooped me up, so now I'm writing this from my house. If you have any questions or answers, please tell. God bless you all. So some of the comments were kind of interesting. So someone asked, can you find any pictures on the internet or drawings? Did it have hair? Did it seem like human intelligence or animal? And then she says, no hair, freakishly skinny, bald. It moved really effing fast as it went from walking beside along with us to leaning against the tree in a flash. That's why I thought Jeff was effing dead when he tripped on the stairs. It seemed calculated but kind of interested. Like it wasn't malicious, just staring at us. So another guy wrote, recently moved to Eastern Kentucky, and this post has me rethinking my future camping plans. Glad you and your friends are safe. These things, there's story after story of these things. I don't know. I don't have any like super insights on them. So one of the ones I heard was when these things, even though it's skinny, they seem super strong. One guy said that he saw one come out of some kind of like sewer thing one time, and I think he worked with like the sewers. So he was like, well, I'll just put something on there that's multiple hundreds of pounds that somebody that skinny could never move. And if this story is to be believed, the guy said that I guess this was like a regular thing, like he kept seeing this thing where he had to work, and then he put this big lid on top of one of these sewer things. And it was like a super heavy one, and he said this thing just like pushed it up. He saw it push it up and throw it. The biggest guy could hardly do that, and this thing was as skinny as like a little twig. So these things is, I've heard of these things getting hit by a car, and the person said that they saw it get up and, like, even though it was kind of injured, they were just like, there's no way that thing got up and walked away from how hard I hit it. There wasn't any damage. Maybe their genes are just totally next level. What if there's something in genes that could actually interact with something in the next realm that we're not seeing and give super strength and give these regeneration powers really, really quick like that? I'd like to thank everybody for checking out the podcast. Remember to click the RSS feed so you can be notified of everything. My Patreon is ParadoxWalk, so just Patreon/the word paradox and walk, like you're walking down the street. The music has been Downbeat 88, all one word, like downbeat, and then 88, like 88 miles an hour, 88 piano keys. So hope you all enjoyed everything, and be sure to check out the next podcast. Come in, it should be weekly or bi-weekly, so thanks a lot, and hope you all enjoyed. Have a good day, bye.